welcome back to episode 4 of Back to Work series presented to you by HR Catalog, unfolding the role of HR during and post COVID 19. The retail sector. While the entire retail sector has been struggling to understand and manage the fluctuating demand and also preparing themselves for the longer run supply chain challenges, let's understand how one of India's largest FMCG company, that is Dabur, managed its people operations during COVID-19. Our guest for today is Mr. Prakul Kumar, Head of HR, Dabur International Limited. He is a dedicated HR expert with over 15 years of experience in strategic HR, organization development, enhancing productivity, steering change and performance, employee relations, etc. He has worked with companies like JK Tires, Hindustan Unilever, and from the past 10 years, he is associated with the Dabur Group. He is currently leading the HR function of international business operations of Dabur Group for countries within the GCC region, the Middle East and North African region, US, UK, Egypt, Turkey, Iran, etc. So let's understand from him how they have managed people operations during this time of crisis. Thank you so much for accepting the invite and
Pleasure.
choosing to join us and share your insights and experiences. Not just, I mean, because we're looking at a wider range of industries to talk to and get their insights, and FMCG and having Dabur on board with that kind of a background is really going to be meaningful and helpful to a lot
Thank
many
you. Thank you.
people watching this. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard. Pleasure. And if experience can help somebody understanding, then that would be great.
Let's start with the first thing. Uh, in India, like in all the other interviews, there has been a background of the Indian context, how lockdown was announced, and how the unlock phases started getting in and stuff. You sitting in a different region, handling a different set of people. Um, how did this pandemic take place actually in your region, and how eventually the effect looked like of the pandemic?
We have got operations in a lot of geographies in this part of the world, and which is Middle East, North Africa, then US, UK, Turkey, then Sub-Sahara African region. So we have gone through the pandemic in all the regions. And so the lockdown was almost similar in all the countries. So it was not very pre-planned that, uh, we are going to announce the movement will be closed from this date and all that. So it came very suddenly in most of the geographies. So if everything is coming to a standstill, so government has said that nobody can come out of their houses. You can't go for shopping. You can't go for just a stroll, evening stroll, morning stroll, and all. And then how do we continue with the work, especially when we were in the segment which is related to the daily needs of the consumers. So then it took some time, I think almost a week or 10 days for us to we were mentally getting prepared because the news were already there that there has been lockdowns which were implemented in other countries. So we had already started looking out that how do we plan. So we had to um, equip our employees so that they can work from home. Uh, on the business side, we had to see that how do the manufacturing continues. So on that, we had to, the raw material, the packing materials, all that had to be arranged. All that had to be fixed from where it has to come, how it gets connected. And because some supplies are local, some supplies are coming imported. So, and a lot of, since all the geographies were getting into lockdown, so these supplies were about to get affected. So those, and to stock in every manufacturing location so that we do not fall short of employees. Initially, uh, it was like how it will work, shifting from today you are working in office and from tomorrow onwards you don't have to come to office, and then everybody has to get connected through all these Zoom or Teams and all. But it went well, so employees adopted well. So our team were contacting them on a daily basis, how is it going and is anything required, help required, because uh, all the at all the houses the internet connection was not very appropriate to to take care of the Zoom meetings or MS Teams meetings and work from home, that kind of a thing, or maybe the no separate space for working. Those kind of challenges were there. So that we cruised through, we took it on a stride, and then we used to do our team meetings. What is the outcome? You have talked to this. So what is the need? What is that? And we used to coordinate with all the geographies so that we keep on getting the feeler, and whatever the facility needs to be provided by us. After some time, we felt like the anxiety is going on. So anxiety of uncertainty, anxiety on what next. So we organized webinars. We took help of some of the agencies who exclusively, guided our employees to, how to take care of the stress, what is the kind of parenting which is required in this tough time when the kids are also going through anxiety. And a lot of questions around pandemic itself were unanswered. So, what is the best way to protect yourself? Initially, if you have seen, the guidelines were like, even if you are sitting at home, you should be wearing mask. And in fact, it was like, even if you are at home, you should be 2 feet apart. So that was the gravity of the situation that time. So a lot of questions were unanswered. What to eat, what is the best day routine while we are at home, what we should do, to boost kids immunity and all. So we took help of some of the healthcare professionals, those who were dealing with COVID patients, and then we provided the guidance. We tried to we tried to help the employees to sail through this.
So it seems that, because of this pandemic, probably many organizations have started realizing the importance of health and safety of employees. The importance is much more than what we've considered all these years in terms of taking care of their mental health or, psychological safety. And the thought process around that sphere has changed because of this pandemic.
Pandemic has hit the whole world. It has hit no individuals, it has hit business, it has hit families. Now, one thing what employees have also realized is that the safety and basically their health concerns are at the paramount. Now employers are also realizing it, that they need to go an extra mile to ensure that employees uh, take care of their health. So they should be, we have been talking for years together on work-life balance, but now that's a time wherein work-life balance is more on the actual health that you get into, or maybe you start maintaining it. And so now companies, now organization, employees are comfortable in exercising, flexi working, or maybe work from home. Okay, where once or twice in a week you can do work from home, all those kind of things. Now employers have got comfortable with, and it's a commendable effort from the employee side also. Sitting at home in very different conditions, for every individual there is a different condition at their residences. So they have taken it well. They have all found their own way to keep contributing to the business as well as to the families. So that's something which is very commendable.
Definitely, I take from this is that they have taken it well. But when you see work from home for the longer run, probably when this pandemic is no more a part of our lives, and we are safe to go to office, um, then do you think going back to office is a better idea, or work from home, continuing work from home, gives more productivity, gives more ease of working to employees, and work from home continuity makes more sense, or going back to office makes more sense?
Okay. In general, if you say, so it will completely depend on the industry. So as I said, that IT has seen from it from a long years now that work from home is a kind of practice that they still have. Okay. So for others, um, this what employees have realized actually. Now, I'll come to the employers on a later side. What employees have realized is that while you go to office, it might take you 1 hour or 2 hours to reach office, or maybe 1 or 2 hours to come back. You have to get up early, you have to, you sleep late in the night, you reach home late, and then you wake up early. All those kind of things are there, which you save time while you are sitting at home or maybe working from home. But then the kind of working environment that you need, the kind of on a practical side, all of us are employees, and we need some buddies to vent out, or maybe to to speak out, to discuss, to meet people. Sitting isolated at home, isolation means not with not meeting your colleagues. Let's say if currently we are having this call, you are sitting at some thousands of kilometers away and I'm sitting here, we are seeing each other, but then that kind of a connect will not come, which which when you sit across tables, you discuss, you have a chat, you have a evening tea together or a cup of coffee, or you have lunch with your colleagues. So that kind of an informal channel of communication is very much required for as a human being. We cannot I think so that it's my view that sitting at home and doing not meeting anyone, just doing your work or maybe meeting professionally, discuss only official things, um, is not a very good long run kind of a thing, which is good for the mental health of any individual. I think going back to office, or maybe work from office, resuming work from office, if until unless it is very strategic, that we will not return back to office. I think that we will soon be returning back to office.
So, one end, we understand that mental health is going to be a concern if we continue working from home. But I also would like to see it from performance or productivity point of view. So, how do you see productivity or performance getting affected?
While it was we were going through the pandemic, still pandemic is here, but then now most of the economies are open, offices are open, government has eased down on the movement restrictions and those kind of things. While everything was bound to happen from home and we did not had any other choice, the productivity I think has not gone down. Employees have taken it very positively that we continue working and continue supporting the business as usual. All the departments, all the functions uh, have performed their duties to support. Now, the formal environment that is there in the organization, in the office, I would say, that supports your working, I would say, that supports your working, uh, is definitely maybe for some individuals that may not happen at home. or maybe working from home, because that's a very different kind of you don't have that formal kind of environment at home. So so uh, maybe some will be able to continue working from home with same productivity. Maybe some would want to go back to office and to continue working in that formal kind of an environment, which enables working, which enables productivity. Gradually the economy opened in here in Dubai. So then we started resuming office. So we didn't resume like full 100% employees at one go. No. So we decided like 30%, 40%, and then gradually we opened. So then the teams were made, and it was like, 1 week this team will come, 1 week this team will come, so that in between we get the office sanitized on weekends. So deep sanitization happens so that in case somebody gets infected in one team, so the whole organization doesn't suffer at one go. So it is like if one team has got suffered, so they will stay back home until the quarantine period and this recovery happens, and the other will continue from office. So all the roles can come back to office, and all the roles can work from home as of now, which we have seen in past 7-8 months.
And now, coming to manufacturing roles, people who are
Yeah.
required on the manufacturing units, seeing them work from home, I don't know how that work happens. It doesn't happen, right? So, how do we manage those kind of roles when they are, essentially required on the manufacturing unit, and still we need to take care of their health and safety?
Yeah.
So, how do we manage those kind of roles?
Okay, so see, manufacturing has continued throughout the pandemic time also. So when it was on the peak in April, May, June, July, the manufacturing has gone. So in different geographies, we had taken uh, different kind of a strategy to continue, but the basic motto was same: safety of the employees are paramount. So what we had done is, like, I give you an example. So in the manufacturing unit, the employees were coming. So if we had provided them like facility, so for bringing them like bus facility and all. So the bus facility, we did all the necessary steps. The one trip was made, only half of the employees could get boarded into, and then there was a gap in where they're sitting. The whole bus was sanitized after every trip, and then the very sequential, very SOP operated admission system was there inside while they reached the factory. So we had equipped our factories with the disinfection tunnel, with hand sanitizers placed at every nook and corner so that it's very accessible. Then we provided them with PPE kits, with fresh PPE kits whenever you are coming inside and you are going out. Even we made it a point that even you are carrying your mobile phone, you should get it, clean it with a wet wipe so that uh, there is no possibility of getting the infection inside. And then inside we had given a lot of trainings to them, to the workers, to the staff members, that this hand washing for 20 seconds, social distancing, and then covering your face and nose with mask every time, then that face shield that was provided. So all those things, we removed the common touch points from the washrooms and all. And we then removed um, we started that lunch rooms and all were modified in such a way that there is a social distancing, so the shifts were staggered in such a way. So we had taken a lot of precautions so that the work continues, but then the safety of the employees does not get compromised at any point of time. We have taken extra this thing also, that who are sitting in shared spaces and all. So we have created that much of a space that for some times at least they can relax.
Correct, correct,
because the social distancing is being maintained.
correct, correct. Now, in terms of again health and safety, let's consider a situation since we're talking about the manufacturing setup. Had it been, say, for example, a viral infection or a decent fever, we can ask that individual to take rest at home. And the same thing happens here. If someone is found, COVID positive, then we can ask that person to go home, quarantine himself or herself, take rest and come back once the person is through. Uh, but now here, another situation is that person has worked with 10 different people in the unit. Now, what do? We can't ask everybody to quarantine themselves just because they have been in touch with an infected person, because otherwise that entire probably shift is not operating, and affects the production or the affects the operation. So how do we deal with that kind of a situation?
Okay. Now, see, this has happened. This has happened across geographies that, you were having a meeting, and then after the meeting, after 2 days, you come to know that, the person has got infected with COVID and all. But then on the larger interest of the company, on the larger interest of the company per se, means for the employees, for other employees that you have, uh, we need to ask employees to get into quarantine. Since we are now very well equipped with work from home, so those who are not in manufacturing or actively on the shop floor, they can be in quarantine, work from home for another 10-14 days as per the guidelines, and then come back and resume office. Those who have got infected, they need to go through test again, and once they are negative, they can resume office. For the guys in manufacturing, yes, we have to, other employees have to take a stretch and fulfill the requirements in this current pandemic time, because if you do not take proper steps to get your employees quarantined who were in touch, this can lead, the more can get infected. So the proper steps in terms of safety of the other employees, yes, we may have to ask some employees to get into quarantine and follow the due process which is prescribed.
Right. So that definitely means that, we need to prepare our employees, the other employees. So the ones who are infected and the ones who have got in touch with the infected people, they need to be quarantined. But what we also need to do is, create a preparedness amongst other employees that they might have to stretch in terms of work, in terms of shifts, in terms of what they're contributing. Or probably they might have to go outside their roles to perform certain duties to finish certain operations.
Yeah, that can be good, but then preparing somebody with this mindset that if something happens, so it has to be with all the employees. Any set of employees can get infected or maybe has to get into quarantine. So a multi-skilling kind of a thing can be useful in this current times.
Is there any good thing that has come out of work from home? Something that we didn't realize earlier, we've realized now when we've started working from home?
Yeah, so I would say better understanding between the teams. So sitting not across the tables, not physically meeting, but then the organizations have now started coming back to the pre-COVID level businesses, and the kind of teamwork that has happened across the functions to get new NPDs done, or maybe resolving any issues. So that has been very commendable, which I think while in office we were not able to see that, because that was business as usual. So now we could see that a lot of things have happened, which have got reflected during this pandemic work from home.
Right. So do you also see that through this collaboration is, much more effective through virtual platforms, collaboration between team members?
Yes, definitely. It has proven by its course that that the collaboration has happened, and collaboration has happened at a very good level, with good participation by all the team members and from all the functions. So, and that's why the organizations who have been able to survive have sailed through this pandemic as of now. So that collaboration has come up very well.
And do you think like people have now started talking about virtual engagement and innovating in that area? Not just engagement, but virtual trainings and how to
Yeah.
bring that kind of what do we say? We still want to ensure that the effect of a virtual training is as good as the one that is done physically in office or when we are training people face to face. So people are thinking about innovating these areas of the HR function.
Yeah.
Do you think that is going to actually take a place going forward, or there will still be a shortage in terms of the kind of effect these virtual platforms leave?
See, virtual platforms are already there for quite a some time now, and there are quite a few courses which are offered by a lot of LinkedIn or maybe Coursera and all, and so people have been benefiting out of it. People have been benefiting out of it. Now, recently, I have seen a lot of companies have come into offering virtual games, team engagement games, which which can be tuned into behavioral skills or maybe leadership skills, those soft skills part of thing. I think that that will be required, because there are two things: one is the cost effectiveness, and one is the ease of access. So generally, if you do a classroom teaching, you have to get time from all the individuals to come and attend the training during the working hours. However, the virtual training programs are at ease. So any employee, maybe in early morning, maybe late at night, or maybe on a weekend, they can access, they can, go through the course and complete that. So that will be required. Yes, definitely. That is something which is, on the go access to the training and development will be very much required.
Since all companies, most of the organizations have seen a time where they had either to, stop their operations for some time or probably, stop production on certain products which were not
Yeah.
now required for some time because people have suddenly started realizing that we need the essentials first and then the desired products. So there has been a lot of thought around how to optimize the cost around people or around various functions revolving around people. So, are there any kind of learnings that are coming out in cost optimization?
Very important question, because all the businesses have suffered. All the industries, except a few, have suffered in this pandemic, and the revenues have gone down. The fixed cost remains same, and the only quite a few variable costs could only be controlled. So there has to be a very deep thinking, deep discussions around it, so that uh, the costs do not add on or pile up again, while it should not become unbearable against the revenue generation. So we need to take steps. We need to optimize the manpower requirements. We need to optimize roles. We need to see every possibility on which we can support the business. So see, it may be a short term. Some organizations had adopted for some short run, maybe a salary reduction for a short period of time. Some have reduced manpower. Uh, some have not gone through the increment cycle this year. Some have not paid the performance linked pay. So all these are short term routes that have been taken and to support the business. As the support comes back to normal, these things will be restored. So, but then as an HR business partners, we have to collaborate with the business in optimizing the cost. And we have to see how, like you are saying, learning and development in virtual. So that's a way in which we continue learning and development activities. However, cost is optimized.
Correct.
So that as an HR, yes, we will HR business partners. We will have to have our contribution in the cost optimization.
So learning and development and the thing that we discussed is just one way where we see cost optimization and where
True.
HR can contribute. Which other areas do you think we can take care going forward? Like few of the organizations have also mentioned things around, they have realized that few roles were never required on a full-time basis, and they've been hiring them on a full-time basis and have been paying them. And suddenly, when work from home started, or when we actually started looking at what are the very very essential roles that should continue even work from home, then they realize that many roles were not even required on a permanent basis, right?
Yeah.
So a manpower hiring needs to be reconsidered and looked into from a different viewpoint in order to
Yeah.
optimize cost, right? So what other areas do you think we can actually tweak in a way that cost is optimized?
Okay, so a lot of while we take our salary costs, so there are other costs associated with the employees in our day-to-day operations. So other than salaries, there are performance-linked pays, there are insurances that we give, there are other benefits that we give. So what we can do is we can while we optimize the roles, while we optimize the maybe we can see how to optimize on the increments since the businesses have got affected. We can see how we can talk to different multiple vendors to see how is there any more efficient insurance plan that can be that can come in a lower cost. Yes, very deep thinking onto it. Collaboration within the organization with the functions need to be seen that we have to work together for optimizing the cost. The robust performance management system is a key because it gives transparency to the employees that they are being fairly judged or fairly the performance has been reviewed, and also the crisp KPIs, sharp and crisp KPIs. So more and more these KPIs are quantitative. That will be better rather than being qualitative, so that it cannot be it cannot be interpreted or it cannot be reviewed as per the mindset. So it has to be number driven. Whole organization, all the functions have to work together towards it.
Talking about the skilling part that we just touched upon in our previous question, you said multi-skilling is something that's going to help going forward. If in case we want to ensure that we take care of certain situations coming in. So with that, new things that are coming in, like work from home or managing stress along with work and managing remote collaboration and stuff like that. What kind of skills do you see, should be given more importance going forward?
See, multi-scaling is something which cannot be implemented in general. So you will have to you will have to have a mechanism in place wherein you can identify who can be multi-skilled, who is ready to take up that extra kind of effort that would be required, who is who has the aspirations to with this multi-scaling what he will achieve next or she will achieve next. And then this is very uh, this has to be driven through a mechanism. And while the new things in the market or the new skill set required for new activities, we will have to pull out those people, have a discussion, have a career chat with them, and then we can ask them to get into this multi-skilling module which we have made. So that has to be very selective.
And when we talk about leadership skills, dealing with any kind of crisis that comes on the way, what kind of competencies do you see coming in picture when we're talking about the leadership team?
See, agility is one thing, being agile is one thing, being creative, supporting your team in innovations, uh, driving efficiencies in the organization, in your function, and inclined towards automation. These would be the keys. These would be something which is, which is very much required now, so that you can get a better collaboration with your team. The work efficiency increases. The work does not stop if some team member is not available for some time, and those kind of things. It would require much in addition to what is already going on.
In such times, a few of the experts, what I've read, they say that organization culture that has been, demonstrated all these years, that has helped a lot for the survival through these times, where actually employees have got together and ensured that businesses don't fall down.
Yeah.
Right. So, if we want to see what sort of elements in that organization culture actually help to keep those employees dedicated and committed to the organization, what are those elements according to you?
One is the like mindset. So that has driven the organization in this pandemic. So when we are all aligned towards one kind of a goal, and the communication, that open communication that happens within the organization, the open culture that anybody can discuss with anybody, everybody is approachable. That kind of a culture has built the team in such a way that this pandemic has not affected the coordination. It was just like except a little bit hiccups that we have seen, otherwise the teams were like, okay, from office we are moving to go home, that's it. So that is something which has got inbuilt in the organizations, and the collaboration was already going on, which has surfaced right now.
Probably even it helps in removing the insecurities that drive in such times when you're sitting at home and there's some sort of insecurity about your survival in the organization. That kind of insecurity doesn't develop if you have an open
Yeah.
mindset.
And the continuous conversation, communication that happens from company side.
So coming to the last question,
Yeah.
what is that one or maybe a few of the HR learnings that you would like to share with other HR professionals? Something that has come out because of this pandemic?
The whole organization has learned so many things out of it. And uh, one is that we need to be I would say very much conscious about the cost. So our each and every step, our each and every move need to be very thoughtful on how we are we have to see the cost from multiple angles. We don't have to demotivate the employees. We do not have to suffer the operations. We do not have to compromise on the talent that we are getting in. But then at the same point of time, we have to help the organization to contain the cost. The second thing is the technology. So what best, how we can, adopt the technology, and how fast we adopt it, and how good we adopt it, so that the systems are automated and becomes very fast. So the our operational time also, gets saved, and the results come fast. So the access to the systems, the access to all the employees in terms of this thing. So that is something which is we have to look at very well. Now the world, now we are talking about HR analytics. So HR analytics is something, analytics were generally used in other functions, and big organizations had already adopted it years back, but not very popularly. So now we are talking about HR analytics, and we want to see, how and why things are moving in such a way that they are going on currently. So what is the employee behavior trends? What is the way we can improve on our efficiencies in recruitments, or maybe better manpower planning, or maybe better budgeting. So all these things, this HR analytic is something which will come and play a big role in that. So this is all part of the automation digitization.
That sums up all. And the only thing left is me to thank you again.
Not a thank, Richa. It's so good to talk to you, and so refreshing to, again, I also got a chance to, reflect on a lot of things that get missed in a day-to-day operations of ours. So that is, it was so good talking to you and discussing on all the aspects related. We have seen the full pandemic from a 360-degree, I think.
It's good to hear you today, and thank you so
Thanks.
much once again that you chose to spend time with us and
Thank
speak
you.
about this
Thank you,
topic.
Richa. Thank you. Pleasure. Pleasure.